Welcome to the Pilates Business Podcast, where you will find out about how you can benefit from the creation of Pilates business development and marketing assets. Now, here is your host and Pilates business founder, David Gunther.
Welcome, Pilates business owners, Pilates instructors, and friends. It's my great pleasure to introduce you to Minna Salmesvuo. Minna is a social media marketing strategist, founder and director of the Social Media Tribe, which launched in 2011. And in 2016, Minna also published her first book, In the Heart of Social Media Marketing, Heart-Centered Authentic Marketing, drawing on her years of experience in the industry. Minna's background is in IT, business analytics and marketing strategy, and that allows Minna to work with clients across a wide variety of industries, including many Pilates studios. So many of the listeners have probably come across Minna at a conference or indeed may already be working with Minna in that social media area. Just before we got on to recording, we talked about how do I pronounce Minna's second name. Minna Salmesvuo. I got it right, but apparently many people call Minna just by the name Minna because they don't attempt the second name. So that puts Minna in the category of Madonna and Pink and The Rock and other people like that. So it is a great pleasure to have you here, Minna, and welcome to the Pilates Business Podcast.
Thank you so much, David. You made me laugh there. I probably don't live up to the fame of Madonna and Pink, but it sounds great. So thank you for the warm welcome.
That's a pleasure. And I'd like to get straight into the subject of your book, In the Heart of Social Media Marketing, Heart-Centered Authentic Marketing. And the reason why I'd like to talk about that today, or have you talk about that, is that it is an asset for you. I know it's an asset for your marketing. It's like a big business card. It's a huge piece of relevant content aimed directly at your target market, and I'm sure it works well for you. Tell us about that asset for you, Minna.
Thanks, David. Yes, absolutely. It was created as a business asset. Like you said, it is like a big business card. It also establishes my positioning in the marketplace as an expert. When you've written a book, you have put thought into your work, and it captures the way I started working with clients. So it really explains the process, how I work with clients, so they can get to know us through the book as well, or get to know me and my company, how we work with clients and what to expect. Definitely, I do get mentioned that a lot of times I've forgotten that I've written a book when I meet people, and then they say, oh, I saw on your website that you've written a book. So yes, absolutely, it does work very well as a positioning tool in your marketplace.
That's excellent. And as you're aware, this podcast is about Pilates business assets and how Pilates business owners and Pilates instructors can use assets to benefit their business. Now, our listeners may not wish to write a book, but there are other things that they can do with content, obviously, that would help in a similar way. What parallels can you draw for us there, Minna?
Yes, I would here think of the term repurposing of content. And that is something we use a lot in our work when we work with our clients, because sometimes that marketing content doesn't exist. So we look at what do you have. As a Pilates studio, you might have training or classes where you train your clients. You could turn them into videos. Those videos can be turned into a little snippet of your marketing social media content or video blog posts. And when you think you don't need to have a lot of unique content, because you can repurpose that content in different formats on different platforms.
Excellent. So you mentioned earlier about targeted avatars, your target market or our target market for Pilates. Can you tell us about what that means and how that's best used in social media?
Definitely. So we look at the target avatar as something that you've heard the saying that if you try to market to everyone, you're not marketing or connecting with anyone. And that is so true, especially in the social media space that I work in, or in digital marketing in general. You have to be very clear on who it is that you want to connect with your marketing content. So you educate the public about your niche, because there are so many different Pilates studios out there. Everybody has their own strength. And it's best if we know what those strengths are and then play to those strengths in our positioning in the marketplace. So ideally, if everyone knows their niche, there won't be any competition between studios, because we see it as a collective set of different services offered to different target audiences. So that's how we look at the target avatar. The more clear you can be, the more accurately you can build that connection between your services, your business, your brand, and your audience.
I can tell a little story about that. Actually, in the context of our Pilates businesses, our studios, Pilates Can in Canberra, where we have the 2 studios. Quite a few years ago, we put our first ad in the Yellow Pages in 1999, would you believe, and we started as personal trainers. And from there, we were already doing Pilates as part of that, and we grew the Pilates more and more so as a big part of what we provided to our community. And eventually, about 10 years ago, I believe it was, a very top instructor of ours who had been with us for 5-6 years and is still with us now, Kiralee, suggested, why are you offering the fitness side of things? It seems to be quite a bit of trouble, and we seem to be best at Pilates and being able to offer that to the community. We get better clients, we get better profits and more consistency there for what we do. And that made a lot of sense. And it did take us a while to extract ourselves from that market. And during that time, of course, there were all sorts of new offerings, CrossFit coming into town and multiple studios, lots of PT, different types of studios and franchises. And so that suggestion led to a big change for us, but a very good change, and one that we certainly don't regret, because that niche we've been able to go very deep with, and that has been a huge benefit and a huge asset to us, the fact that we know who our target market is for our studios. So yes, a very good lesson there for us.
That's a really good one there. Yes, that's the other side of the coin that I often see, that in effect, you can choose to work with those people you enjoy working with most, because usually that lines up with the strengths. So it simplifies the business a lot when you niche down to that ideal audience. Everybody wins. It'll be the strength of the business focusing on those clients because you are the best providing service for that audience. But also it is usually the area what you enjoy doing most and are best at. So it's really easy to market to that audience because you are playing to your strength. So there is this overall win-win that really makes the business work better when you're not trying to work with everybody. You just narrow down to where your own strengths are and where the ideal target audience.
And that, Minna, is absolute gold, and I'd invite the listener to really replay the last 30 seconds, what Minna had to say, because that is spot on. Simplification and playing to your strengths will change your life, literally change your life. So great advice there, Minna. We're going to move on now to repurposing content, because I know you've done that with content in your book, and I know you've helped many Pilates studio businesses to repurpose their own content. Tell us a little bit about that.
I want to first start with the story how my book came about. I didn't actually sit down and write that book. I wrote it, but I wrote it as multiple blog posts along the years, as presentations that I held, as training sessions for clients. So I realized when I wanted to create a book that the content already existed. I didn't have to sit down and start typing 100 pages of book. That content is already somewhere. And that might be the case for some of the Pilates instructors out there, if they are writing inclined, that there is already that content that is already out there, and it just needs to be repurposed into a book. Now, once it's repurposed in a book, then obviously you've organized the content now in a way that then that could become a topic for other blog posts. You can basically go through the chapters of your book, create training sessions or podcasts or video sessions, video blog posts out of those chapters. And then breaking down some of the sections in a blog post or video can become then social media posts that on social media promote those blog posts and videos and link back to it. And you can sometimes get 5 social media posts that can all link back to the same blog post, because the answers and the comments, they go back to that source of information.
I think that's terrific, Minna, and it really speaks to our need to really save time. I, for example, went to a course, myself and Claire, my wife, business partner and principal Pilates instructor at Pilates Claire, we went along to a course to learn how to write a book for our industry, and it was terribly distracting, I must say. It was a lot of work, but what we learnt was exactly what you said. I thought, we've got blog posts already. We need to find the right subject. So really our book is going to be about Pilates business, and it's going to be formulated from our experience, obviously, but from these podcast episodes, from these interviews. It's going to be very topical, and it's going to be easier to come up with the content because it's going to come from discussions like this, and it will be informed by what our listeners say does actually interest them and what they need, what's needed in our Pilates business industry, our niche industry. Not in fitness, not in some other industry, but Pilates studio business industry.
Can I add to that?
Please do, yes.
Because you've now given me idea that this is another good source. Like you said, the interaction with your listeners is a source of information for you. And that is another way of repurposing content. Any questions that clients often ask, they are source of topics you can write about. And again, then you can create a blog post, create a video, create a social media post, create a podcast based on that one question. So you don't even need to have, like I often say, that there's probably 5 different main topics that you work with, and then everything else is repurposed or different aspect of one of those main topics. That keeps your messaging consistent, and everything kind of supports the message, the overall core message that your business has when it is clearly linked back to some of those main points that you will be discussing in your marketing and in your content.
And that very much informs, in my experience, the client sales journey. We have learned a lot over the years from obviously listening to prospective clients and the questions that they have. And we've integrated that directly into our client sales journey so that we know the questions that people are going to ask. We know the answers that we need to give that are going to help them transition from one part of their journey to the next. And it could be that they're in a nurturing phase and they're not really ready yet to jump into doing Pilates and improving their well-being that way just yet. But if we keep in touch with them and we answer some questions for them along the way, then when they are ready, then they can transition to becoming a client. And that is very powerful. So one of the things you do is online video in that platform. Tell us about that training and how that works for I think you have members, is that right, of your social media tribe?
Yes, correct, David. It is a video training platform. Again, another asset that can be created out of the knowledge and information you already have available. We have always, Social Media Tribe, we've been around for 10 years. So we've always done client training. We've done one-to-one training. We've done training workshops. But then we realized that this can be, again, repurposed into another asset that is then available. And we can reach an audience that may have more questions that we can offer in a short training. It also gives the ability to learn in your own pace and get really detailed instructions, because often training is always designed to a level. So it's a level of expected basic skills. When we felt that we need a platform that covers all the foundations, the questions that clients don't dare to ask because they've never opened a Facebook account themselves and they are just starting out and wanting to learn, all the way then improving those skills to more advanced topics. So we, at the moment, we cover Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn and strategy development on the Tribe Training platform. The platform consists of 5 to 10 minute short videos. I think there's 40, 50 videos there now. And they start from very basics of navigating what apps do you need on your mobile, what do you need on your laptop, to then navigating those platforms, all the way to some of our latest ones, how to use Creator Studio, how to create reels on Instagram. So they go to quite advanced, and you can pick and choose what you want to learn. We've made this something that we just want this social media training to be more achievable, available to wider audience that we were able to cater for. And sometimes these were the clients who they just needed a little bit more time, and we really wanted to be there for them when the one-on-one sessions or the workshops weren't really effective.
I love that idea of self-paced training, because we're all so busy. There's so many things we need to do, particularly as small business owners. If we look down our profit and loss list of things that we do, we're responsible for each and every one of those. We need to be the maintenance person, the marketing person, the accountant to deliver the sessions. And there's not a million, but there's close to a million other things we seem to need to be doing. So anything that makes that sort of thing more convenient and meets a business where they need to be met at that time is good. So that's a way I can see that you're nurturing your own clients. They're getting a benefit. You're getting paid a little bit, not as much as what you would be getting paid, obviously, if it was a done-for-you type of service that you're providing, which I believe you also provide. And that's valuable for a different type of business that perhaps is further along and would like to not have to do those activities themselves, and so they can, say, concentrate on their actual delivery of their services or other areas of their business. So for example, I have been involved with marketing for many years, and I enjoy it, but I don't want to know about the intricacies of SEO. I have other people that can do a fantastic job at that and want to do it, and it is their strength. That's what we work with at Pilates Can and at Pilates Business. And so I'm going to ask you about that, parallels that you can bring between what you're doing with that nurturing with your Tribe Training online video platform. How could someone emulate that as a Pilates studio? Any ideas there?
Yeah, look, I think there's probably, and I think COVID gave some ideas to us about what Pilates studios can do when there was a big disruption in the business. I know some started running sessions on live streaming. These could be put into a library. This is all about getting to know the instructors. You could have some basic videos, maybe some basic exercises to address a certain injury or pain. Obviously, you can't assess the person in the other end, but something that is safe to create a video of, maybe a short video training that can be then shared online. This is a starting point, and that way it's a way of nurturing that audience. Like we use this one, it is a way to nurture the audience. We also use, and that's the other aspect of it, is that we can now use this in our marketing and branding. So we advertise our whenever we have every 2 weeks a new video coming on to our platform, we run an ad campaign about that video. So it's a consistent message going out there about things we do. It's a branding exercise as well, that we want to be innovative. We want to be progressive. That is how we want to appear on the pulse of the social media space. Exactly the same analogy can be used for Pilates studios. It is a representation of you. It is a great way to market you, offer something available online. It could be free, it could be a paid platform, but really the creativity is the limit there. But content, it is a way to nurture the audience when they can get to know you. Actually, a lot of people noticed over COVID, a little bit off topic, but I think it's important in the nurturing context of audience. A lot of people realized that when we couldn't meet face to face and we had to meet new people online over Zoom, we started to feel like we've actually met them face to face. When you finally met them face to face, it was like we've known each other for years. So you can build that connection over video by appearing in video training sessions, and your audience, even though you haven't met them, they feel like they already know you, which makes you a lot more approachable when they are ready to consider face to face or the next level of engagement in a live class face to face. They already feel that familiarity with you they wouldn't have felt otherwise.
Yes, I really believe that you're spot on there, and I'm really curious to ask you a bit more about connection, because talking about COVID, connection between our instructors and our clients was the only thing that saved us. JobKeeper was nice and that helped, and don't get me wrong, that helped everybody, but it was because we had a connection between our instructors and our clients. And then we pivoted quickly and maintained that connection online, and that was terrific. And we actually got to know people better. We got to know their children. We got to know their spouses. We got to know what their houses looked like and how good they were at technology, usually not very good, but usually we were only just one step ahead. And their puppy dogs. We got to meet all sorts of different sizes and shapes of puppy dogs. And so we've still got some of that going. And of course, the connection in the studio is excellent, and everyone was looking forward to coming back to that. But do you have any other examples of creating that connection either for target markets, for studios that are not yet clients, so either prospects, or for people that are already clients? Perhaps more the prospective clients. Do you have any examples that you can think of in that sort of category? In the marketing biz, it might be called a lead magnet, and it might be followed up with nurturing workflow of emails, that sort of thing. Tell us about some of your experiences there.
I want to start with a little bit of a step back, talking about the connection, because that connection is what we aim to achieve with any work we do. Because what makes social media marketing work is building that connection.
Yes.
So that is the sole goal of everything we do, is to build the connection first. Sometimes you create that accidentally, but in our work, it is something that we aim to achieve deliberately, because social media, what makes social media work is connection. 75% of people use social media to make their purchase decisions. 90% of people trust reviews. And that can only happen when people have a connection. They are connected through local community. They are connected through shared interest, or simply being clients of the same business. Yes. Whatever, or they have children that are about the same age. Between mums, that is an instant connection. So connection can be built in many different ways, but that's what we look for. So connection comes from building familiarity, showing you understand the audience, you understand specifically who they are and where they at, and showing that we know what you're experiencing, but also we have a solution how we can help you to then achieve the goal. We often talk about how to build that connection. The best form of it is if you can say in your marketing exactly what your prospect is thinking. That is the immediate connection, because that's what we aim for. You basically show that I know who you are. I know exactly what you're thinking. The best form is when the marketing copy basically says exactly those words that you were thinking yourself. So marketing copy needs to be thought in terms of what would the person say themselves, really bringing down to the personal level to build that connection. So whatever form your marketing takes, it needs to be brought back to the person, thinking the individual, taking the focus of what it is that you're offering, other than looking at it through the eyes of the prospect, what they are seeking, what problem they are to solve, and what solutions they are after. So that's really what we aim for. And that's what, when we were talking about the questions, one of the best ways of building that message that then builds that connection is look at what your past clients say. How do they describe you in your testimonials? Because often they are your ideal clients and they tell you exactly why they worked with you.
And this is a win for everybody, isn't it? It's not anyone's being sneaky using the same language that the target market is using. It's about it's really busy out there in the world of social media and online advertising marketing. And so you need to be able to get directly to your client in a way that does cut through. And yes, years ago, we worked with digital marketing organisations that worked with other industries, and oftentimes I'd find myself saying, we are not a gym, and they really didn't understand. And so the content that they would put forward and provide was not what was needed for our clientele. It was not right for our niche industry, and it was just very bland in terms of just fitting in with the rest of things that were out there, particularly with fitness, for example. So I'm really on board with that, Minna. That really resonates, and that's something that has certainly helped us. And you have helped us with the work that you've done for us and with us, with Social Media Tribe. And so I'd like to recommend that, because we're going to wrap up the interview now, just before I do and before I let people know where to find you, Minna, is there anything else that you'd like to add that you think would be useful in this context of assets for Pilates businesses? And when we say assets, we're talking about things that you can use again and again, that you've created and built that are actually valuable and actually produce a result, some sort of result for you in terms of fixing a problem such as attracting new clients or retaining the clients that you have. Any other ideas on really important assets that could be useful?
Definitely the important assets, I think that's one that we little bit touched on earlier, was the sales funnel. So the capturing your prospect with something you can offer that stands out and can bring that immediate connection. And that this is where really, when I was talking about the connection, it is that immediate connection, because then after that, we also need to follow up. There need to be other touch points. If there is an email marketing system where you can send valuable content that educates your prospects and make them offers of how they can take the next step if that content is resonating. So obviously we try to further build that connection, nurture this audience, but then also give them ways of how they can take the next step from there, to make a phone call, come to an introductory session, bring a friend, or what kind of form that takes. But it's really, I think the most important thing is remembering we're marketing to people, and everything, you already are doing everything that you need in your marketing. It's just a matter of repurposing that, building it into a sales funnel. And that way, taking now back to my book, In the Heart of Social Media Marketing, when it's all authentic and it really comes from the heart of what you're passionate about, that shines through too. So don't be afraid to be yourself and stand out in that niche of your own proudly, and making that connection with your audience that way.
Yes, and look, totally agreed. And it doesn't matter whether you call it a sales funnel or a sales flywheel or the customer sales journey. As long as you have a process, that process is definitely an asset for your business. And when I was doing the sales work within our business at Pilates that someone else does now, because we have a process for that, which is an asset for us that makes it an easy job for that person. I found that work very easy because it was about helping people solve problems. And if Pilates wasn't for them, if they really needed to be doing CrossFit or massage or something else, then I had no hesitation in recommending that really we couldn't help them. But I also really enjoyed connecting with people and letting them know exactly what the benefits for them would be, and being able to take that to them in their own words, to answer their own questions and to help them fix their own problems through Pilates. And that I found a tremendous help in terms of that sales process, and it meant that it was consistent with the message that we're putting through on our advertising, on social media and online generally, and that all works extremely well. Minna, I'd like to really thank you for your time today, and I know that if people want to find you, they can find you, is the best place www.socialmediatribe.com.au.
That's our website. Everything is linked there. There's our tribe training. There is more information about what we do. It's been absolute pleasure to speak with you today, David. I'm very passionate about marketing. I know how passionate you are about Pilates business. So it's always a pleasure to have a chat with you.
Thanks very much, Minna.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Pilates Business Podcast. Please pay it forward for our Pilates industry by subscribing, or if already subscribed, by sharing this episode with friends now, while you find out what's on next week's episode.
Well, I think that episode with Minna was just fantastic value for any Pilates business listener out there. The things that we were able to uncover seem possibly simple enough, but they are wonderful lessons that we should reinvestigate with our business from time to time so that we can ensure we are on the right track with our marketing. Now, next week, we're very lucky to have Sharon Simmons, the president of the Pilates Alliance of Australasia. Sharon has been president for 9 years, as well as instructing since way back in 2003. Sharon has a huge amount of experience. I'm always in awe of what Sharon and her team do for our industry. I'll be very happy to share that discussion with you. Until then, keep doing what you do best and keep being awesome.